Why did the cybersecurity newbie system crash and burn? They skipped the manual and thought reboot was the ultimate firewall.
Dave on Cyber!
Hello cyber folks, welcome to Dave on Cyber, and this is part of my series CISSP as an art. Today I want to talk about basic risk terminology, and this poster is from my favorite TV show. In fact, I was quite obsessed with Friends when I was preparing for my CISSP, and I kind of binged a couple of seasons, and then I felt so much guilt that I had to put control on my watching hours, and that kind of inspired me to make this video. I'll come back to this poster later, but this was my biggest vulnerability. So let's get started. This is Dave. He wants to pass CSP exam. He's committed, determined, and sincere. So he's our asset, right? So in a company, let's say we have production web server. That's our asset. What does this server do? It protects company data, but above all, it provides business service. It's making money, right? So that's why this web server is our asset. And one day, Dave decides to go for a walk. Now, because he's out of his room, he's vulnerable to many things. And just like that, your web server is obviously not connected inside your cold storage, right? It's connected to the internet. So anything can happen. And that's exactly what happened to Dave. He heard a sound coming from the jungle, and he saw a glowing box. That was a threat agent. So I want you to imagine about various bots who can initiate distributed DDoS attack towards your web server. So these are the threat agents, right? Now, Dave goes near the box and he is curious, but you know that curiosity always kills the cat, right? But he opens it anyway, and then what happened? The magic is revealed. It's YESFLIX, his vulnerability. There are so many binge-worthy shows and movies. One of his favorite TV show is Friends, and he couldn't resist the temptation, and he falls for it. So imagine your web server. What's the vulnerability? It doesn't have rate limiting. It doesn't have web application firewall protection. That's why it's susceptible to HTTP floods. And that threat can exploit the vulnerability of the web server. So vulnerability always lead to exposure. You can check out my separate video that I have made and explain the difference between risk and exposure with another example. But in this case, the exposure is pretty high, because if Dave watched this French TV show for 10 seasons and looks like he's ready with his popcorn and drink, that's gonna cost him a lot of time. And time is the constraint here, right? Because he's preparing for CISSP. So similarly, if our web production server doesn't have any protection, DDoS protection, and let's say if it goes down even for 3 to 4 hours, it can cost a lot of money to business. And what about the reputation damage? You should also consider that. So this is the high level mapping of all the risk terminology. It always starts with threat, which will exploit the vulnerability that leads to exposure, and without protection or countermeasure, it will be always high. That becomes a business risk, and then the outcome will be damaged asset. It could be anything: losing your data, your business service, in this case a time. But I hope you understand the high level mapping. But then something happens. Dave, he decides to build a time machine, and we are dealing with a fiction story, right? So we can do anything. We can go back in time, but in real world, our time machine is about security. That's our time machine. Of course, we can't go back in time, but we can obviously think about security, isn't it? So Dave goes back in time and he puts a special lock. You can say it's a safeguard, or the other way to understand this one is a conditional access policy. What is a policy? If he reads for 5 hours, he can watch 1 hour. And kind of strategy I applied while I was preparing for my CSSP. If I read for 5 hours, I would take break for 1 hour. And same thing for the company production server. The safeguard would be to implement web firewall, which would address all the level 7 attacks as well as provide DDoS protection. And that's a good strategy to apply security for vulnerable assets. So now Dave is back to his track. He's back to study. And this time the exposure is reduced because he applied some kind of control. And same thing for our production server as well. It's still susceptible for many DDoS attack, but now it has got the protection. And that's what security is all about, because risk never disappears. All you can do is bring down to the acceptable level with various security controls. So I hope this video was helpful, and if you want to download PDF art booklets that I created, you can download. I'll put link in the description. Feel free to download and spread across your network. This has got similar concept in some various art forms. I hope you like it. And I will also put one CISSP question scenario in the comment section, and I want you to answer it. And please just don't write your answer either A or C or B. Please also write your explanation why you think right answer is right and why you think wrong answer is wrong. That will help you to understand the concept in a very fundamental way. And the last thing, please subscribe. I'm just starting out and I want to know your feedback. Did you like this template? Did you like the art? Did you like the analogy? Also, did you like the story? And if you have any feedback, I would like to incorporate in my next video. Or if you want to delve into any specific topic, please also put it in a comment section. I will make video on that. Thank you very much.